Okay, let's try this one more time. Welcome to the VRPodcast. My name is Riley Seberg, and I'm your host. So, as I go along in recording these episodes, I'm slowly getting a bit more prepared. I was gonna say professional, but definitely not professional. But I'm getting a little bit better each episode, and really that's all I care about. I knew that I wasn't gonna be good at this, and I just want to get better at something. And I think that using a podcast instead of writing about it in my journal will help me reinforce what I've been learning. So today I went out and got a mixer for my mic setup because I bought a condenser microphone and didn't realize that needed power. And so today I went out to Guitar Center and bought a mixer that has phantom power that plugs right into my computer. And so today, I think for the very first time, we're actually having some professional sound. I was telling my girlfriend a little bit earlier that it's interesting because I work in this kind of industry, this media production industry, and like I know how to do lighting. I am familiar with sound. I'm familiar with video, and speaking of lighting, I just realized I haven't set mine up. But yeah, so I'm familiar with all these things, and I just never took the time to formally put them in my brain. Like I was just around them, setting up the equipment, but never actually sitting down and testing it out and playing with it and figuring out how it works. And she told me that there's this online platform. I forgot what it's called. Anyways, turns out that like I have access to it, and yeah, I haven't been using it. So I wanted to talk about some stories in VR, some Google News stories. But here's a good one. Okay, let me just put this up real quick cuz I got to read this if I can. Damn. Financial Times wants me to subscribe to them. Screw that. Anyways, this story was about Steven Spielberg's rendition of Ready Player One. They have a version of this on Steam VR. And listen, man, the article says that it fails to lift virtual reality, but it's what are you looking for? You know, what do you expect? It's always the critics talking about how things fail to live up to their expectations. But like, when's the last time a critic ever put something out that's worth something? So I had to fix this light. But I'll be honest, I've played Ready Player One, the VR version, and I mean a lot of the problems that I had that I kind of chalked up to having a subpar graphics card, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's the game just wasn't there, right? It's definitely not what you expect after going to see the movie. But if you compare it to other VR games on the market, I would say that it's in the top 10% of VR games. And I wouldn't say the reason is because like the game is so cool, but if like okay, for so a perfect example is when you go to put the glasses on, right? That is so smooth and seamless, right? From the picking the glasses up to putting them on to switching to a essentially a loading screen, like it happens in a second. It feels like you're actually going in there and you're already in VR, right? So I think that's just pretty imaginative, and listen, most of the VR games on the market right now aren't even like 25% complete. You know, they're selling essentially beta tests. Like I talked about this in the last episode. So, Ready Player One Oasis, I think, is actually providing a service because they're not charging for what they're providing. You know, and so this goes back to how much can you actually critique something that you didn't pay for, right? But I don't know. I think they tried, and it's enjoyable. So oh yeah, I noticed this one yesterday. Let's see. See if I can switch it up. Screen to desktop. Huh. There we go. Okay, so this story is from humanrightsfirst.org. And I was actually thinking about playing this. Well, it's not really playing. This is part of the storytelling aspect of VR. So let's see what this article has to say. New virtual reality video highlights challenge refugee families faces. Wait. Highlights challenges refugee families face at the southern border. Human Rights First today released the second part of a two-part 360-degree video series, Crossing the Line, that follows brave asylum seekers fleeing persecution who sought protection at the U.S. southern border. This comes as the Trump administration is ramping up its attempts to target vulnerable families fleeing violence and persecution by deploying the National Guard to the border, implementing a no-tolerance policy to increase criminal persecution of asylum seekers, and calling for an of so-called catch-and-release policies. Oh man, this is getting really in-depth in politics. Let's see. This isn't even the one that I talked. This isn't even talking about the same app that I saw, but essentially this is hopping on board of the storytelling in VR, and I guess this is where the next political war will be fought. Ah, man. That's too crazy. Is it unprofessional to sneeze? Bless you, Riley. Thank you. All right, let's see what else we got going on. I haven't seen many interesting news stories. I think this news thing might have to be once a week. Here's another article talking about virtual reality making grounds in progress for PTSD therapy. This article is from Medscape. As virtual reality exposure therapy rapidly gains ground as an effective and increasingly affordable approach for PTSD, a new research suggests unique benefits regarding public speaking anxiety, sexual trauma, and comorbid depression. I don't know what that means. Several studies of such approaches were presented in a VR dedicated session here at the Anxiety and Depression Association of America conference. They showed improvements in anxiety-related public speaking through a novel approach involving just one VR exposure therapy session, followed by 4 weeks of participation in an internet-based program. A third study assessed the effect of VR treatment augmented with dicloserine on comorbid depression in a group of survivors from the September 11, 2001 September attacks. The research is showing that VR has arrived. It's no longer a matter of can we do it. It is clearly feasible, and I think at this point it is an accepted alternative for treatment. Huh. So this is talking about how VR can help get over public speaking, which kind of makes sense, especially in apps like Altspace VR or VR Chat. Like, it kind of really is like you're there, and people just talk to you, you know? So you kind of have to show up, or like the environment forces you to participate, and that's really cool, you know. I think the advances in human and cognitive development that are going to result from immersive virtual reality are limitless. Like I think that we're going to become better people overall than we ever possibly could have been because of VR. And I honestly, like, I don't get the argument that technology is hurting us. Like, I don't get the argument that we're too reliant on technology. Honestly, I'm excited about it. And I think that we have a lot to learn as people from the use and the application of technology. This is really exciting news, and as somebody who suffers from PTSD, well, as somebody who lives with PTSD, I can attest that this, I mean, it's not 100%, it's not a cure, but it helps. And the thing when you have a mental illness is anything that helps, you'll take it, you know, because there's so much things that don't help. But, let's see. Should I do another one? I think I'm going to cut off for a little bit. I might be on later tonight to do a gameplay feed. Actually, it's Friday night. I most likely will be on. But I have to go and take my mother out to dinner because it's her birthday. So I will be back And thank you everybody for watching. As I make these videos, I hope that I'm getting a little bit better each time. And it'll be interesting to see how I progress. And I'm excited to see where this is going. So thank you so much for watching or listening. This is the VR Podcast. And I'm your host, Riley Seawork.